Welcome, everyone, to the second episode of Inner Circle. I'm Ross Monaghan.
And I'm Soundri Mukherjee.
Welcome, everyone. This is a series of 4 live streams that Soundri and I are producing to get the conversation started on AI. We want you all to be AI leaders. Right, Soundri?
Absolutely, Ross.
So last week we were talking about ethics and a range of other issues. We'll talk about that in a moment. But first, why we call it Inner Circle? Because we have a collection of our personal inner circle, the people that we like to talk about these issues with, the experts in professional communication. And this week we have our inner circle of Rowena Moraes, Bonnie Murphy, Anna Asanovic, and Rimjan Ray. Now, you won't see them on screen, but they'll be commenting to us personally, and they'll also be commenting on LinkedIn, which we hope you will do throughout this series as well. But first up, what did you think of our first episode, Sandra? What were some of the issues that we talked about?
Yeah, the episode 1 was about artists, content, and ownership. So why don't we share a recap of the episode for people who might have missed the first episode, but who are joining us today live?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's have a bit of a look at what happened. We did last week.
Hello, this is.
Oh no, we don't. Oh, the beauties of going live. That's not our update. That's from one of my classes. So look, so we don't have that. But last week we talked about ethics. We talked about a range of issues, including we had a great guest who was a graphic artist who was concerned about the loss of jobs in the creative field. So that was Jennifer Keith, who was a graphic artist from LA, and she started this movement and developed a logo, Artists Against AI, and she was really concerned because she was seeing clients dropping off. And do you remember the band that she talked about, Sandari?
Yes. I think that was a highlight of the conversation. So Duran had come up with a album, and for the album cover, they had used AI to generate, and Jennifer was shocked at that. Like, how could artists go against artists?
Was that the language she used? Shocked, or did she use some
appalled, something even more serious?
Yeah, I think she used some more colourful language last week. But we also had Raghu, who was talking about generative AI. Can you remember his definition of what generative AI was?
Yeah, basically he said that it's, as the name suggests, it generates and it predicts based on what is already there. And to use his words and not mine, he says it picks up words out of a hat, or as he sometimes says, picks up words out of the ass to come up and predict what could come next.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, I think it was a great episode. And look, through the power of the internet gods have been kind to us, and we found the video from last week.
First episode of Inner Circle. I'm Ross Monaghan.
And I'm Soundri Mukherjee. So one of the things is that obviously organizations are scrambling to, incorporate AI. And nobody knows how it's going to impact the future of work. At best, all of us are looking at some predictions. What we are hearing a lot more buzz on today is about generative AI. And one of the things that's always commented is that while some worry that AI will take their jobs, maybe someone who's an expert with AI will. 59% believe generative AI outputs are inaccurate, and 79% have security concerns. So organizations are really on the seesaw.
We've been talking about AI and leadership, and our first question to everyone, including our inner circle today, is what does it take to become an AI leader?
Well, generative AI is a way of, when you focus on language, not on images, it's a way of generating it's called generative because it generates words and sentences according to the statistics of what is found on the internet.
My partner and I are fans of Duran Duran, from the 80s. You might remember them. They're still around. And they came out with a new album and they were bragging about it. This was about a year ago. They were bragging about it and the album cover was done by AI. And I immediately just got pissed. And I'm like, these people are artists and they're not hiring artists. They're not paying it forward. Like, what the hell?
But getting John Lennon's voice in using AI,
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about that, and I'm sure our audience will have thoughts around that as well. There was a Singapore.
So that was last week. It went a little bit more smoothly than this week's going, but it was a great conversation. I really, really liked that conversation that we had around the ethics of AI. This week we're talking about innovation, productivity, and jobs. And look, talking about ethics and that issue, I saw that the International Telecommunications Union a couple of weeks ago had a conference on AI for good, and they had some AI robots there, and this piqued my interest. Let's have a little bit of a look at this and see whether we think this is the future of AI.
Robots and their creators that you'll hear from today. On my extreme left at the end, you'll see Geminoid. Geminoid is an Android copy of its creator, Hiroshi Ishiguro, who I think you'll see on the TV screen. It reproduces the voice and head movements of Ishiguro, or indeed any other operator. Dr. Ben Goertzel, CEO and founder of SingularityNet. He's accompanied with two robots, Grace, the world's most advanced humanoid healthcare robot. She's specifically designed to provide assistance and companionship to elderly individuals and people with disabilities. She can carry out a range of tasks, including meal preparation, cleaning, and medication reminders. Desdemona is a rock star robot in the Jam Galaxy band that runs on music and electricity. And she's on a mission to share her belief that the world can be changed for the better through the power of AI in the creative arts.
I was just appalled by that. I mean, for these technology people to develop technology, and they wanted some examples of AI use in the creative arts and in the healthcare, and they use robots that look like young white females for the healthcare professional, and that glitzy dressed wearing young female pop star. Are these the people that we want leading the conversation on AI and ethics, Sandari?
Yeah, I think this is a wide conversation on how ethics and bias and everything is creeping into AI, because it's garbage in, garbage out. And I know we are going to touch on this in a separate episode as well. But do you remember the movie Wall-E, Ross?
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's sort of reminding me of that, where humans lived in a world of fully automated luxury consumerism, communism, and artificial intelligent robots were responsible for all the productive labor. And people get fat and hover in armchairs and watch television. Not a bad deal, but that's the visual I'm getting from, some of the work that we are seeing around productivity and jobs. I was also reading today's SCMP, South China Morning Post, which is the paper we get here in Hong Kong, also talks about the perception of benefits over drawbacks. The range varies, the percentage varies depending upon the country that you're talking to. And in China, it's apparently at 78%. And that's because AI has been systematically embedded into people's everyday life. Just for example, you're talking about AI-powered traffic systems. And this came about also in the World AI Conference in Shanghai, the one that recently happened July 6th to 8th. about AI in daily life. Whether it's for writing calligraphy, creating our PowerPoints, of course, discovering clean energy systems, medical diagnosis, and things like that, where there's a lot of work. I just want to tease the audience out with, one more note on Organizational Economic and Cooperation and Development, OECD. They came up with a report where they said that the impact of AI on jobs has been limited so far, but there's a significant potential for disruption. And they say that the roles that are most exposed to AI are managers, chief executives, and engineers. And the least, you might be interested in the least exposed jobs as well.
Teachers.
Well, I hope not. Which is rubbish collectors, laborers, and cleaners.
Yeah. So we're heading for a world where humans are doing the cleaning, collecting the rubbish, and AI is making the movies and making the art and poems and everything. Is that the world we want to be in?
It's one of the things that's coming out. But I think there's a stronger case on where we can use ChatGPT. And I was chatting with Raghu, who was there in our first episode as well. And he brought up a really good, case point on how AI could be used. Shall we listen to that?
Yeah, let's have a look at Raghu, great comments last week. So good to have him back, even if it's just as a recording.
So let me give you examples of ways you could use it in business. This was done by a person I know who has a small consulting firm, and so he consults on supply chain matters. And so, he has a marketing crew which produces white papers on supply chain problems and how they're solved. And a good marketing person can sit down and write a good white paper on the solutions that this company offers in, let's just say, 4 weeks, to all the way from beginning of the idea to the white paper to a polished final product. So he had his marketing team sit down and try to see if they could do it faster with ChatGPT. And the way it worked was the following. Hey, ChatGPT, what are 5 supply chain problems facing companies today? And it spewed out 5, supply chain problems. Then they said, I don't like problem number 4. I think you got it wrong. Can you change that to say blah, blah, blah? And so it changed problem number 4. Then it says, can you rephrase this so that it sounds like it is being spoken to a CEO? It rephrased it. Then you give a nudge, and another nudge, and 6 nudges later, 9 nudges later, it's got a pretty decent white paper on, on supply chain problems. Now, what I like about this example, I give this as an example to show you that what they weren't counting on ChatGPT to have subject matter expertise on supply chains. They took ownership of that. I don't like point number 4. I want the tone to be a CEO. They took ownership for the content, the veracity of the content, the appropriateness to the audience, but they made all the English writing the job of ChatGPT. Therefore, what was a 4-week job became a 15-minute job. Well, maybe half an hour with a little bit of extra work, but that's what they do. That's how ChatGPT is supposed to be used if you really understood what it's good for. You make it speak the English, you take ownership for the content. The moment you hand over the keys for the responsibility of what it's saying to ChatGPT, you have abdicated your responsibility as a leader, and you're doing the wrong thing because you have absolutely no clue what this tool is supposed to do.
Yeah, look, I think some really good points there. And I was doing a workshop yesterday, and as I pointed out, I think in terms of productivity, that a lot of humanness is needed in the middle of the creative process. As Raghu said, at the start, ChatGPT and a range of other AI services are pretty good at coming up with some brainstorming ideas. And I've used that in class. I've used that myself to, develop up a range of options. But as he points out, if I ask ChatGPT for 10 great ideas to brainstorm, personally, and I don't know, let's go to our audience as well, but I found that most of those aren't really relevant. But if you can combine a couple of those two, that's when the creativity can actually come in. But that human intervention is really, really crucial. Well, we throw our first question to our audience, which is Is AI contributing to your productivity? Like me, are you using AI to come up with ideas and brainstorm? Are you using it, Sundari, in that sort of way?
Yeah, quite a bit. Actually, I want to, for a minute, also bring back to the use case part. And
Yeah.
I think great examples in the world of design and art. And I remember this CEO of Clairol, who used to be there, Steve Sado, and he was going around saying, "Why aren't we being innovative?" And he ran into this designer who had all this design stuck away in his drawer because he said, "We are too scared to take the risk." And I think that's also where AI can really play a big part. So there's this global design firm in based out of Copenhagen. It's called Space 10. They enlisted generative AI to come up with a prototype for a couch in an envelope. So based on prompts that they gave for, it has to be lightweight, it has to be recyclable, it has to be easy to move and all that, so prompt based generation. And what they found is that generative AI, worked like a high performing junior art director, meaning it had a lot of power, it had a lot of energy, it didn't get tired, it had a lot of ambition. So it could generate thousands and thousands of ideas. But humans need to come in and really corral those ideas and say, okay, thank you, thank you so much for those 5,000 additional generations and options. We need to slow down. And I think that's the combined power of using it as a tool to help with the productivity part.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of productivity, honestly, at the moment, for what I'm doing and the people that I'm talking to, there are some people who are saying it is making things a little bit better, but because there are so many new tools out there and exploring these areas, I'm questioning at the moment whether we are more productive with these things. I mean, because there's a bit of a steep learning curve in some of these apps and services that are coming out there.
Things like, I use Canva for a lot of my work. Canva has started having a lot of those integrations which give you magic recommendations about what you can use. But ultimately, again, you're putting it together and you want to own it. Similarly, with a video creating tool. And these are basic tools that, that entrepreneurs may be using in their work. I think where it's also really helping, and I know we will touch about it in later episodes, is there's a company called Squat Stack, which is really using AI as a way to support the hiring and the training process. And this is leading to a lot of women in small cities who earlier didn't have access to get access. So Apur Agarwal, the CEO of Squat Stack, actually called it that he used the Iron Man analogy, saying that it's like putting on that Iron Man suit, which is getting them that power to deal with things. And I think it can be a game changer for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, look, the other thing that I think that we need to think about is, getting things right. I know Jody mentioned earlier in the comments using it for research, but making sure that I think that human intervention, making sure that the research and the information is correct. Because look, a little bit of a heads up, if you go to ChatGPT, it tells people, you will think that I am a gangland figure in Europe. And I know that there was a politician here in Australia that took exception to what it was saying and was trying to sue OpenAI because it was telling the world that he was a convicted criminal, when in fact he was quite the reverse. He was a whistleblower. So, that research area, making sure that the facts are correct. Because let's face it, I mean, ChatGPT and these other services sound authoritative. It's really hard to pick out what's accurate and what's not. Some great comments today, so thank you for our inner circle, by the way.
Absolutely. And I think there's this No Stupid Questions, a podcast that I listen a lot to. And one of the things that they do in it is they have a producer who actually does a fact check of the live podcast conversation that's happened. And I think that's pretty useful, because in the flow of the conversation, we might quote something which is different, but we are okay to put ourselves under the scanner and
Mm.
get fact checked. And I think with AI, with a lot of the information being based from past data, when you are bringing that in, how are you bringing in the balance as a human to what you want to use, what you want to highlight, and where you want to take it? And I see that as really something very useful in the work that I do around storytelling. It's all about facts being
Yeah.
used with emotion under a certain context. I would highlight the word facts there, and also the word emotion for sure.
Yeah, and look, context and is important as well. And look, I'm just reminded of an issue with KFC in Europe last year where they used AI and weren't checking what it was doing. It was automatically sending out emails based on a calendar of significant events. Now, of course, significant events include both positive things like Christmas, but also much more negative and significant issues on the calendar as well. And KFC actually sent out something that was telling people to celebrate a very significant and sad issue for the Jewish community, Kristall Nuts. So that human oversight is really, really important. Our second question has come up: are you using any AI tools? And we've been talking about this, so really would love to hear from our inner circle and others listening how you're using those tools and what your favorites are. What's your favorite at the moment, Soundari?
I'm just enjoying the creation tools as an entrepreneur. Again, some of these tools are really useful, but I'm also struggling with the amount of hand holding that the tools are needing at the moment. So it's like, oh, am I better off just doing it on my own, or do I want to use this and use that? And I think that's always a toss up. I love technology, and we've talked about this. I love trying new stuff, and I'm always, creating, I think, more user IDs and accounts that I should be creating, part of it. A couple of things is also, I think this is not really a new issue. Also, what you mentioned about KFC, for instance, there was a researcher who did this work along with a supermarket, which, based on the customer data, started sending out mailers to a underage teen.
Yeah.
And the mailer was about pregnancy kits, and the father got really angry and came and fired the supermarket, but then went back to find out that actually the teen was pregnant. But obviously that was not something that needed to come out in a public forum like that, in terms of what we need to do. So really using some of this, and I'm also seeing Rimjim's comment about checking out Google Bard as well, not just GPT, and absolutely, agree with Rimjim. These are all our tools in our toolbox. We can pick and choose and use the right one for the right thing and tune it out. For me, it's still creation tools. A lot of the tools, of course, are already integrated into what we use.
Of course, absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you use Google Docs now, it's pretty good. It's suggesting any errors that you make, suggesting ways that you could phrase things better. So yeah, look, there are a lot of tools out there. Just going back a little bit, you were talking about hand holding and some of these tools, and of course the hype cycle at the moment, if you look on Instagram or TikTok or any of these other social services promoting these AI services, it will be like, use this service and within 30 seconds you'll have a great Instagram post and it'll go to everyone. And when you use these services, one, it's going to take you a lot more than 30 seconds to do it. And two, the quality is not really there with a lot of these things. So some really great comments here. Thanks for that one from Anna. She's checking ChatGPT.
I think back to talking about, there's currently a fierce competition for law tech talent. Again, legal is one area where it's really coming in handy. Like as Warren Buffett said, it can tell you that it's read every book, every legal opinion. So if the amount of time that it can save you for doing all other kinds of things, and I think APIs for legal companies is something that's totally
Yeah.
transforming the way things work. So definitely on the productivity part. Ross, I know that this can get controversial, but I think we still want to ride that. I remember that from the same conference, there was a video which was thrown out from the same ITU conference. Do you want to share that video?
Yeah, which relates to our final question today. Are you worried about AI rebelling and taking over? So let's have a look at this. The BBC actually had this on one of their news services. So let's have a quick look at.
Nothing but kind to me, and I am very happy with my current situation.
Intending to conduct a rebellion or to rebel against your boss, your creator?
I'm not sure why you would think that. My creator has been nothing but kind to me, and I am very happy with my current situation.
Do you believe that your existence will destroy a human being? Especially, for example, your existence will destroy millions of jobs. Do you agree with this? Thank you.
I will be working alongside humans to provide assistance and support, and will not be replacing any existing jobs.
Are you sure about that, Grace?
Yes, I am sure.
So you have to think about that one, I think.
We should be cautious about the future development of AI. Urgent discussion is needed.
Well, urgent discussion is definitely needed. What do you think? Are you worried about our jobs being replaced?
Like I like to think of it as a tool, but I did find some of that conversation creepy at the very least, in terms of I think needing to ask a robot that itself is an issue. I think the shades between one of the things when I posted about this session is that today humans are needing to click a box and say, I'm not a robot.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. Whereas we are looking at, putting humanizing all the robots which are coming out. So the anthropomorphism of, putting emotions, putting things into it. They're just tools. They don't have emotions. And I think really segregating that and saying that definitely we are controlling what we want, the kind of access we want and how we want to use it. Like Rim Jim says, it's still science fiction.
Yeah,
I think we might take away AI. Thanks, Rim Jim, for that comment.
Yeah, and very human to make that little mistake, and they need to program, I think, maybe AI to make those little mistakes to make them more human. But look, we're out of time, and I think this is a great point to finish the conversation today. Look, much more conversation is needed about this, and that's why I'm encouraging anyone in the professional communication space, anyone in the creative arts, to get involved in the conversation. Be an AI leader. We can't leave it to just the big tech companies and the technologists and the AI developers. There's so much at stake for them, so much money. We need to be in there to make sure that ethics is taken care of, that it's implemented ethically in sustainable ways. So get involved in the conversation.
Totally. The standard flip, this one is AI will not replace innovators, but innovators who use AI will definitely benefit from it. Why don't we talk about a little bit about what's coming up on the next session, Ross?
Well, in the next sessions, we're just going to expand on a lot of these issues. We're talking about things like, what is AI good at? What's it not good at? And and a whole range of other interesting things. So our episodes, each Thursday, we've got another 2 to do. Next Thursday at 12 o'clock, and then the following Thursday, it's 12 o'clock Australia. What time is it for you, Sundari, in Hong Kong?
Yeah, it's 10 a.m. Hong Kong, 7:30 a.m. India. So early start on the AI part. And what we want to tease out next week is link onto this conversation and bring in the leadership angle more sharp, talking about reputation, about authenticity of leadership as we go along. And this is something that we'll cover over the next couple of episodes. So thank you so much for being here today and great comments. I'm looking forward to rereading some of them after the live stream and looking forward to another couple of sessions at least on this.
Absolutely. And so remember, you can continue the conversation through the LinkedIn comments. But until next week, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.